The Book of the Damned, by Charles Hoyfort, Chapter 21a. Knowledge, December 28, 1883. Seeing so many meteorological phenomena in your excellent paper, Knowledge, I am tempted to ask for an explanation of the following, which I saw when on board the British India Company's steamer Patna while on the voyage up the Persian Gulf. In May, 1880, on a dark night, about 11:30 p.m., there suddenly appeared on each side of the ship an enormous luminous wheel whirling round, the spokes of which seemed to brush the ship along. The spokes would be 200 or 300 yards long, and resembled the birch rods of the dames' sculls. Each wheel contained about 16 spokes and, although the wheels must have been some 500 or 600 yards in diameter, the spokes could be distinctly seen all the way round. The phosphorescent gleam seemed to glide along flat on the surface of the sea, no light being visible in the air above the water. The appearance of the spokes could be almost exactly represented by standing in a boat and flashing a bull's-eye lantern horizontally along the surface of the water, round and round. I may mention that the phenomenon was also seen by Captain Avern, commander of the Patna, and Mr. Manning, third officer. Lee Brace. Postscript. The wheels advanced along with the ship for about 20 minutes. Lee Brace. Knowledge, January 11, 1884. Letter from A. Mac. D. That Lee Brace, who sees so many meteorological phenomena in your excellent paper, should have signed himself the modern Ezekiel, for his vision of wheels is quite as wonderful as the prophets. The writer then takes up the measurements that were given, and calculates the velocity at the circumference of the wheel of about 166 yards per second, apparently considering that especially incredible. He then says, from a nom de plume he assumes it might be inferred that your correspondent is in the habit of sailing close to the wind. He asks permission to suggest an explanation of his own. It is that before 11:30 p.m. there had been numerous accidents to the main brace, and that it had required splicing so often that almost any ray of light would have taken on a rotary motion. In Knowledge, January 25, 1884, Mr. Brace answers and signs himself J.W. Robertson. I don't suppose A. Mac. D. means any harm, but I do think it's rather unjust to say a man is drunk because he sees something out of the common. If there's one thing I pride myself upon, it's being able to say that never in my life have I indulged in anything stronger than water. From this curiosity of pride, he goes on to say that he had not intended to be exact, but to give his impressions of dimensions and velocity. He ends amiably. However, no offense taken, where I suppose none is meant. To this letter Mr. Proctor adds a note apologizing for the publication of A. Mac. D.'s letter, which had come about by a misunderstood instruction. Then Mr. Proctor wrote disagreeable letters, himself, about other persons. What else would you expect in a quasi-existence? The obvious explanation of this phenomenon is that, under the surface of the sea, in the Persian Gulf, was a vast luminous wheel. That it was the light from its submerged spokes that Mr. Robertson saw, shining upward. It seems clear that this light did shine upward from origin below the surface of the sea. But at first it is not so clear how vast luminous wheels, each the size of a village, ever got under the surface of the Persian Gulf. Also there may be some misunderstanding as to what they were doing there.